8:45 here on the morning show with Jeff and Will on AM 1700 WRCR Haverstraw, WRCR.com. Welcome back, everybody. Joining us now is Rick Tannenbaum. He's the executive director of Hightor Animal Shelter in Pomona. Good morning, Rick. How are you?
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Will. I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing great, thanks.
I'm not weighing on any political issues today, so I just wanted to not talk about RFK. But I did want to talk about this. Yeah.
We weren't going to ask you, so that's.
I don't know what his position on the animal shelters or rescue pups is. I don't know that he's even talked about it.
I appreciate that. So I did want to talk about something that has just really come up and come to a head in the last week or 2 weeks, but it's really something that's been going on for years and years and years. And I don't know if you've seen in the Journal News and in the Rockland County Business Journal, but there's been a lot of talk about feral cat colonies, efforts to undertake what's called TNVR, which is trap, neuter, vaccinate, release, or return, depending upon who you ask. And what it means, what it's all about, and how it affects not just the animal shelter, but the community at large. I saw one estimate that said there might be as many as 50,000 feral cats on in the Hudson Valley in our area. I think nobody actually knows just how many there are, but there are a lot. And one of the things that happens at the shelter this time of year is what we call kitten season, which is the height of the breeding season. Is that we'll sometimes get 8, 10, 12 kittens in a day, and sometimes we'll get them with a feral mother. Sometimes they'll come in, they're a little bit older, and they're already feral or semi-feral, which basically means that they have been they've been brought to a point where they're no longer social, they're no longer handleable, and the likelihood of them ever being adopted is reduced. Now, there are efforts to undertake socialization of young kittens, even of older cats. It's a long, burdensome process with limited results. But there are some cats that that can become adoptable, but the majority of these feral or community or semi-feral cats are just they're not adoptable. They're basically some wild, some outdoor cats. So I've seen feral cats at the shelter where if you do try to cage them, they'll actually try to they'll throw themselves against the front of the cage. They'll actually hurt themselves to get out. They're absolutely unmanageable, unhandleable, and it's in our view and in many people's view, it's cruel to cage them. We have at the shelter ourselves a feral colony that that I inherited when I took over, but we have somewhere between some would say 25, some would say up to 45 feral cats living at the shelter that just coexist with our facility. We get people who dump feral cats at the shelter, when they don't know what else to do, and those cats either will scurry off or become part of our colony, or we'll never see them again. They kind of disappear. And this goes on not just at our shelter, but everywhere in the county. It goes on in shopping centers. It goes on at condominium associations, apartment buildings. Sometimes you'll see them around dumpsters. Sometimes you'll see them behind fast food restaurants. There are colonies everywhere. And for years and years and years, there have been incredibly generous and kind-hearted people who have fed these colonies, given them water every day, and undertake what people call TNR or TNVR, which is to trap them, have them sterilized, have them vaccinated, and then return them to where they were. They don't generally seek homes for them. They don't adopt them out. They recognize that they're feral and wild, and they return them to where they started. And that's the R in TNR, is the release or return. And so for many, many years, there was a group called Community Cats Initiative, CCI, that was trying to get the towns to adopt ordinances to enable these trappers and these kind-hearted people to better manage the colonies through subsidies for spay-neuter, for whatever resources were available, whether it was a place for the cats to recover after surgery, or just generally to provide for their safety. while they were in colonies. And those efforts, largely went nowhere in the towns. The villages of Haverstraw and West Haverstraw did agree to adopt these TNR ordinances, but I don't think any full-blown program was ever really developed. So the reason that there are so many kittens being delivered to the shelter is largely because of an unmanaged feral cat population in the county. And every estimate that I read and everywhere that I see, even successful TNR programs in other communities, 5 to 7 years is the estimate where you'll start to see a difference. The goal is the cats stop reproducing and the colonies die off naturally, and they get reduced to manageable populations or to zero populations. And undertaking a TNVR program right now won't show any results for many years, but it has to start soon. So what we read in the media is that that Rockland Green, now that they are in charge of animal management in the county, and it's largely the same folks who had rejected the TNR programs when they were town supervisors, has agreed to participate in a fairly small scale TNR program. They're talking about I think it's $27,000, 80 cats a month, of the thousands that need the service. And they're going to still require the trappers to pay part of the fee. And, one complication that they're looking at is they're also going to require the trappers to reveal the locations of their colonies and create a database so that people know where the colonies are. In the past, that was a stumbling block for the TNR programs because the colony caretakers were afraid that harm would come to the cats if there was revelation of where the cats were living. So at the shelter, our mission is largely adoptable homebound cats, but there's an organization that's participating with Rockland Green called Four Legs Good, and they are, I guess, going to be assuming the responsibility for feral cat colony management in the county. It's a nonprofit organization. It's based at 591 South Mountain Road in New City. And, basically they're going to, run the shop on feral cats. And, I guess that if you have feral cat issues or feral cats, they'd be the people to contact to figure out how to participate in this program, where to bring the cats, and they'll take over the management of that feral cat situation. So, one of the things about feral cats is that they are not always the healthiest cats, and they generally will have issues with salmonella, with giardia. They're not vaccinated, so they might, and their kittens might have distemper issues. They might have FIV or FELV. They generally have not had any medical care. And when we get cats like that at the shelter, we have intake protocols to try and screen out unhealthy cats. But given the volume of cats that come in, we do occasionally get a cat who could bring a contagious disease into the shelter, and we've had that this year. And we've had to basically really double down on health issues, on quarantines, on medication, on basically trying to isolate sick cats. And part of the problem that this feral cat situation brings to the county is that these cats that carry these diseases are everywhere. And I'm not sure, in my view, and it's just my view, that this program that's being launched is large enough to address the issues. If you look around at other counties, every other county has low-cost spay-neuter operations up and running. Bergen County has several, Orange County, Ulster County has 4, Dutchess County. Every county has an ongoing, active, low-cost spay-neuter, sometimes a free spay-neuter program that really helps anybody, bring in cats to be spay-neutered, including your family pets. And one of the things that Rockland has never been able to get its arms around, and one of the things that I'm hoping gets funded in the future, either through Rockland Green or through the county or through towns or whatever, is a low-cost spay-neuter program. the county and the state does do free rabies on a regular schedule. And, I know that the resources are there. It's really just a matter of the will to be able to channel those resources in the right direction. So, the program, I don't think it's been that Rockland Green and Four Legs Good are contemplating. I don't think it's been formally released yet. I don't think there's actually been a Rockland Green meeting where resolutions have been passed. I understand that it is, going to happen, but again, I'm not sure that the program is enough. So we'll see where it goes. We'll see if it is enough. But until this cat population is under control, every shelter is going to have a problem, whether it's Hightor or the new shelter they're building. Without control of the cat population, it's just going to be difficult. One of the oddest things that I find is when I call up to other counties, because we're part of a large shelter network. I mean, I'll find that other people have waiting lists for kittens, that they're so short on cats and kittens that they actually want kittens from other jurisdictions, bring them to us, give us your kittens, and it's really a feature of the low cost spay neuter and the feature of effective TNR programs where these other communities have gotten control of their cat populations and don't have cat problems the way Rockland does. They've passed ordinances that give people the ability to return the cats to where they were. They have the security of having these laws in place, knowing that removing a cat and bringing it back is not going to subject them to any sort of prosecution or trespass charge or anything like that. And the towns, along with the cooperation of Rockland Green, should get those ordinances passed as well to make the program more viable. So I know I'm running down on time. I did want to talk about we have a lot of small dogs that are ripe for adoption. We are essentially at capacity at the shelter for dogs. We do rely on a large foster network, but we are full at the shelter. Our foster network is stretched as thin as it could be. We have friendly, adoptable. We have puppy. We have small, friendly dogs. If anybody could help us, just come to the shelter or give us a call, see what we have. We really need to get some dogs adopted. We've had to convert one of our small animal sheds to an additional dog shelter, and we're pretty much out of room. So dog lovers out there, please call, please come by and see if you can help us out.
Are there any specific dogs that you have, types of dogs that maybe people are interested in, or does that not factor into your mindset at this point?
In my view, any dog that anybody adopts would help us. The small dogs do tend to go more quickly because they're easier for apartments and they're easier to manage. But we have all kinds of dogs that, they're actually all of our dogs that are available get uploaded every day to Pet Finder and Adopt a Pet. And if you go to these websites and you just search, if you put our zip code in 10970, you'll see all the dogs that we have available. Even if it's not an adoption, but it's a foster situation, that would be a big help to us also. We are in an aging facility. We do have capacity issues. We do the best we can, but because we're open admission, we accept, from all the towns except Orangetown, because they go to the Humane Society. We get new dogs almost every day. People, they're either strays or surrenders, and we're doing the best we can to manage capacity. But we're at dog capacity right now, and we need help.
Please, dog lovers out there, they need help. I'm a dog lover myself. I'd take them all in if I could, but I've already got 2, and that's more than enough for me.
Well, come on over. Lastly, if I have another second, we do have our summer staff, the college students that, go back to school. And so we will be doing a new round of hires, to start at the end of August. If you're interested in working at the shelter, Dogs, Cats office, info@hightor.org. Our website is hightor.org. Phone number 845-354-7900. Still no theme music, but give us a call, reach out, do what you can. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Rick Tannenbaum of High Tor Animal Shelter in Pomona. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you again in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.